What if your own ears were lying to you? What if there's a sound resonating through the air right now that you simply can't perceive, but others can? A sound that drives them to the edge of sanity. A vibration that no machine can record. Something invisible, yet inescapable. Imagine living in silence, only to realize the silence is what's betraying you. In the high desert of Taos, New Mexico, the nights are calm and the wind moves softly through the sagebrush. It's a town known for its art, its peace, and its stillness. But for a small number of residents, that stillness was broken by a low, persistent hum that no one else could hear. It began quietly in the early 1990s. Reports came to the Taos police, to radio stations, and even to Congress. A deep, throbbing sound, always present, never explainable. People described it as a diesel engine idling in the distance, a vibration beneath the floorboards, a pressure that never left the skull. It wasn't tinnitus. It wasn't psychological, at least not entirely. Because when these people left town, the hum stayed behind. Only about 2% of the population could hear it, but for them, it became unbearable. Sleepless nights, migraines, anxiety, and the creeping sense that they were being haunted by something no one else could perceive. Some said it was geological, the earth itself humming beneath Taos. Others whispered of military experiments, secret frequencies, even government attempts at mind control. The sound had no source, no beginning, no end. Just a constant, invisible vibration echoing through a desert that was supposed to be silent. And soon, this hum would divide an entire town into those who heard it and those who didn't.
By the early 1990s, Taos had become more than a quiet art colony in the desert. It was a place divided by sound, not by noise, but by the absence of it. It began with whispers. A painter couldn't sleep because of the deep rumble under her house. A retired engineer claimed the sound followed him no matter where he went, even into the mountains. And then more reports began to surface. "It's like the world is vibrating just beneath the edge of hearing," one man said. "When I cover my ears, it gets louder." The stories piled up. Letters to newspapers, complaints to local officials, interviews on late-night radio. The people who heard it started calling themselves the hearers. The rest, their neighbors, friends, and even family, dismissed it as imagination. Taos, once united by art and nature, found itself caught in a quiet war between believers and skeptics. For those who heard the hum, life became unbearable. They tried sleeping with white noise machines, fans, and music, anything to drown out the invisible pulse. But the sound cut through everything. It wasn't just something they heard, it was something they felt. It pressed against their skin, rattled their windows, and echoed in their bones. Doctors prescribed sleeping pills and antidepressants. Audiologists tested their hearing. Psychologists explored mass hysteria. But nothing explained how a dozen people could hear the same tone, a low frequency around 30 to 80 hertz, when no device could record it. The phenomenon soon reached the University of New Mexico, where physicists, geologists, and engineers were asked to investigate. They set up equipment across the Taos Valley, measuring air pressure, seismic activity, and electromagnetic fields. The results? Nothing. The instruments detected no hum, not even the faintest trace of vibration in the ground or air. It was as if the sound existed only in the space between the human ear and the mind. And yet the people of Taos continued to hear it. Each night, as the desert cooled and the stars rose above the Sangre de Cristo mountains, the low hum returned. Endless, steady, indifferent.
By 1993, the mystery of the Taos Hum had grown too loud to ignore, even for those who couldn't hear it. After months of complaints, letters, and late-night interviews, the story reached Washington, D.C. And for one brief moment, the U.S. government turned its ear toward the desert. Congress requested an official scientific investigation. A team was assembled, experts from Los Alamos National Laboratory, Sandia National Laboratories, and the University of New Mexico. They arrived in Taos, armed with sensitive microphones, seismographs, and electromagnetic detectors, determined to find the hum's source once and for all. They spread out across the valley, in homes, fields, and schools, setting up their instruments day and night. Each device could detect frequencies far below human hearing. If there was a vibration, a pulse, or a tone, they would capture it. But the data came back silent. No sound waves, no seismic movement, no electromagnetic anomalies, nothing. And yet the people still heard it. While the scientists studied silence, the hearers endured sleepless nights. "It's real," one woman told the investigators. "I can feel it in my chest. It shakes the windows. You just don't have the right tools to find it." It was a claim that haunted the research team. Were they missing something? Or was the sound born inside the mind itself? The investigators began to consider every possibility. Could underground gas lines, distant mining operations, or power stations be generating low-frequency vibrations? Could it be atmospheric, wind currents trapped by the valley's shape, creating invisible standing waves? But even those explanations failed under scrutiny. The hum didn't appear in neighboring towns. It stopped abruptly when people left Taos. And when microphones were placed right beside those who claimed to hear it, the machines heard nothing. By the end of the study, the government had spent thousands of dollars. The final report concluded with a single unsatisfying line. No definitive cause of the Taos Hum could be determined. The investigation ended quietly, and the hum continued.
When the scientists left, the silence they recorded felt heavier than ever. But some refused to believe that nothing was the answer. If microphones couldn't hear it, perhaps the ground could. The next wave of theories turned inward, beneath Taos, into the Earth itself. The Taos Plateau sits on a network of ancient volcanic rock, fractured by time and movement. Below it lies a vast bed of sediment and lava flows, riddled with cracks and underground aquifers. Some geologists propose that these natural layers might amplify low-frequency vibrations, turning the valley into a kind of natural resonating chamber. Imagine it, the earth humming, a slow subterranean pulse, carried by stone and water. Perhaps it wasn't sound at all, but vibration, deep, subtle, below the threshold of human hearing, and perhaps only certain people could perceive it. The idea wasn't without merit. Around the world, similar hums had been reported. The Bristol hum in England, the Kokomo hum in Indiana, the Auckland hum in New Zealand. Each shared the same traits: low frequent, constant, impossible to record, and each defied explanation. Could Taos be another node in a global web of natural resonance? Researchers considered seismic microtremors, faint quakes generated by ocean waves thousands of miles away, vibrating the continental crust. It's a soundless rhythm that circles the Earth every day, too deep for most to detect. Yet that theory faltered too. The hum wasn't constant in time.
Some nights it grew stronger, others it vanished completely. Earth tremors didn't behave that way. Others proposed underground water flow, echoing through stone caverns, creating a standing wave like the note of an enormous organ. But again, there was no geological pattern, no consistent movement of groundwater to explain it. The most curious clue came from those who claimed to hear the hum stronger indoors than outdoors. If it were natural, shouldn't the opposite be true? The contradiction deepened the divide. Was the hum coming from below the ground or from within the mind? Whatever its origin, one truth remained. The earth has a voice, and in Taos it was whispering, just loud enough to drive some people mad.
If the hum wasn't coming from beneath the ground, then perhaps it was coming from above. As the 1990s gave way to the digital age, a new set of theories began to rise, not from geologists, but from engineers, radio operators, and conspiracy watchers. Some believed the Taos Hum was a symptom of the electronic world awakening, a byproduct of an invisible storm of signals, a global chorus of frequencies bleeding together, heard only by those sensitive enough to notice. Power lines, cell towers, and radar installations, each hums at its own pitch, its own rhythm. Individually, they go unnoticed, but together, they form an electromagnetic web encircling the planet. Maybe Taos, with its unique terrain and thin atmosphere, was amplifying that web like a giant antenna. It was a compelling idea, one that blurred the line between science and suspicion. Soon, the theories took a darker turn. Some pointed to HAARP, the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program in Alaska, a real U.S. government facility designed to study the ionosphere. Its massive antenna arrays transmit electromagnetic waves strong enough to disturb the upper atmosphere. Was it possible that experiments in Alaska were sending ripples through the Earth's magnetic field, creating audible effects thousands of miles away? The official answer was simple: no. HAARP scientists dismissed the idea, explaining that their transmissions operated far above audible frequencies. But the timing was suspicious. The Taos Hum reports began just as the world's airspace filled with new radar, radio, and satellite signals. Others turned their eyes closer to home. The Los Alamos National Laboratory, just 2 hours from Taos, had long conducted advanced research into energy, acoustics, and weapons systems. Could classified tests, low-frequency sonar, power grid experiments, or microwave communications be leaking into the valley? No proof ever surfaced, but no one denied the possibility either. One engineer, speaking anonymously in a 1998 interview, said, "If you build a signal strong enough to move air, you're bound to move people too." The idea lingered that the hum wasn't natural, wasn't psychological, but technological, a ghost born from machines, vibrating through the walls of modern life. And if that were true, then the question became chillingly simple. If the world itself has started to hum, what happens when we can no longer turn the sound off?
When science failed to find the hum in the world around Taos, some began to look inward, toward the only instrument more complex than any detector on Earth: the human brain. The question was simple and terrifying. What if the sound wasn't out there? What if it was coming from within? Doctors and neuroscientists began exploring what they called internal auditory phenomena. Under certain conditions, the brain can generate sounds with no external source, not hallucinations, not imagination, but real sensations of vibration and tone. Some called it tinnitus,
But traditional tinnitus is high-pitched and fleeting. The Taos Hum was the opposite: low, continuous, unrelenting. Others proposed a subtler explanation, that those who heard the hum were perceiving infrasound, frequencies below the human hearing range, processed not through the ears, but through the body itself. Infrasound can induce unease, nausea, even panic. At certain frequencies, around 18 Hz, it can make the eyes vibrate, creating the illusion of a shadow moving just out of sight. Scientists call it the fear frequency. Could the residents of Taos have become unwilling subjects of an invisible resonance not strong enough to move objects, but powerful enough to disturb the mind? Still, the mystery ran deeper, because not everyone heard it. Two people could stand in the same room, one tormented, one untouched. The sound existed and didn't exist at once. Some neurologists began describing it as a collective perception anomaly. The hum, they suggested, might live in a strange liminal space, half physical, half psychological, a feedback loop between body and mind, where expectation creates experience. It's a phenomenon known as autosuggestion, the brain amplifying sensations it believes to be real until they become real. And in a small, quiet town, one person's whisper can become another's truth. But even that explanation left questions unanswered. If it were purely psychological, why did the same tone appear in unrelated locations across the world? Why did some people measure physical pressure changes in their homes during the hum? It was as if the line between mind and matter was dissolving, and Taos had become its proving ground.
More than 30 years have passed since the first reports echoed through Taos, but for some, the sound never stopped. Today, the hearers have become a quiet community of their own, not just in New Mexico, but across the world. From Canada to Australia, England to Japan, people write to each other in online forums and late-night emails, sharing the same impossible story, a hum that no one else can hear. They describe the same symptoms, a pulsing tone, strongest at night, that seeps through walls, follows them into cars, and vanishes only for a moment before returning. Some have abandoned their homes, moving miles away in search of silence, but the hum often follows, as if mocking the effort to escape. Others have learned to live with it: white noise machines, thick curtains, rooms lined with soundproofing foam that never seems to work. One man built a bunker in his backyard, not to hide from war, but from the sound of his own mind. "It's like living with a heartbeat that isn't yours," one woman said. "It never lets you forget it's there." In 2020, researchers from the University of Windsor in Canada revisited the hum phenomenon after new cases surfaced near Windsor, Ontario, Canada, an industrial town across the river from Detroit. Once again, low-frequency sensors were deployed. And again, the results were inconclusive. A possible culprit, distant blast furnaces and air pressure from massive ships, explains some of it, but not all. Meanwhile, Taos remains strangely calm. The reports have faded, but not the memories of those who once lived through the torment. Some say the hum comes and goes with the seasons. Others believe it adapts, changing frequency, hiding between waves of modern noise. In a world filled with constant sound, the Taos hum has become an almost sacred paradox, a mystery buried beneath the endless static of civilization. To this day, new letters arrive in the inboxes of researchers who once studied it. New coordinates, new towns, same question. Can you hear it too?
And maybe that's the most haunting part. The possibility that the hum was never about Taos at all. Maybe it's the planet itself, slowly singing a song we were never meant to hear.
The desert at night is supposed to be silent. But in Taos, silence is just another kind of sound. Even now, when the wind fades and the stars hang over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, some swear they can still feel it. That low, endless vibration, not in their ears, but somewhere deeper. Science searched for it in the ground, in the sky, and inside the mind, and found nothing. But maybe nothing was the point. The Taos Hum remains what it has always been, a sound without a source, a question without an answer, a reminder that not everything that exists can be measured. Perhaps it's the earth itself breathing in frequencies too slow for most of us to hear. Perhaps it's the resonance of our own bodies, our cells humming in rhythm with the world. Or maybe it's something else entirely, a whisper from the unseen, a message meant only for those who listen closely enough to notice. Every great mystery begins with a sound, a vibration that moves us before we understand it. The Taos Hum may never be explained, but it will always exist where curiosity meets silence. Because the greatest mysteries don't need to be solved, they just need to be heard. If truth has a frequency, maybe you've been hearing it all along. Subscribe to Hidden Myst. Keep exploring the secrets that science can't silence. Turn the volume down and listen.